Hello everyone. Well, this morning we're going to learn how to draw. And when you say learn how to draw, people go, oh, I can't draw, it's too difficult. Well, you can learn how to draw. And we're going to learn some various techniques this morning to help you. We're going to look first at what we need to draw with, and that's our pencils. And there are the different kinds of pencils that I have. This one here is an HB pencil, which most of you will have, and that's probably what you will be using today. But then I've got a 2B, a 3B and a 4B pencil. So the higher the number, the softer the pencil and the darker your drawing and shading will be. I used to work a lot with 6B, but it smudges, and for children a 2B is nice to start with, but you probably only have an HB, but that's fine. You'll just need a piece of paper, that way. You'll need a pencil sharpener, because you have to keep your pencil sharp. It's very important. A dull pencil gives a dull drawing. And the first thing we're going to think about is how to draw a cylinder. And I've closed the curtains behind me so that the light is coming more from one direction. And we'll look at a cylinder here, which is a paper towel, but it's all white, isn't it? And yet, if we put it there, we can see that there are different shades of white, in fact. And the light will hit it in some places and not in others. So that's all we can do with a pencil, is to say what's light and what's dark. We can't say, and we can't draw the colour green with a pencil. We can't say that that is yellow or that is red. We can say that that's a cylinder and it's going dark to light. What's important is that once you've mastered how to draw a cylinder, you can apply that to lots of things. So we're going to actually draw a hand today, but lots of things are made up of cylinders. People, lampposts, animals. If you can draw a cylinder, you can draw almost anything. Okay. We're going to start again by thinking about the cylinder that we talked about. If we draw a black line to the edge of our cylinder, it's not true that the cylinder hasn't got a black edge to it. So we have to think how we can portray that. And if we do a line which is hit and miss, pressing here and there, like that, then we can start to do some shading on it, and we're not left with this black line. I'm working with a 4B pencil so that you can see it, but I say probably you'll have an HB. We're going to learn a technique called cross hatching. So we're going to learn a technique called cross hatching. And there are lots of different ways of shading, but I think this is the best to start off with. And if you master this, you can then go on to more difficult things. If we take that simple cylinder, and I'm not going to do it too big this time because it'll take too long to shade, but if I take that and I start to put in some suggestions of here and there where the cylinder is. I then have to decide which side the light is coming from. That's very important. So if I decide that the light is coming from this side, then the light is going to hit here and it's going to go darker as it goes around the cylinder. So I'm going to think about how to do this cross hatching, and I'll do it big here so that you can see. You're going to do separate lines, so I'll do it big, separate lines of shading with your pencil coming on and off all the time. So your pencil is coming on and off all the time. You're not doing that. You're not doing that. You're putting your pencil on and off, on and off. When you want it to go darker, you go back and you put your shading or your lines on in a different direction. If you want it darker still, you will go back and you put your lines in a different direction again. And so that gradually we build up tones of shading just by doing what we call this cross hatching. And if you look here, I'll try and show you what I mean. So I would try and come down, and I'm trying to make a slight curve to my pencil shading, and my pencil is coming off each time, and I'm coming down with my lines as close together as I can get them. And I keep turning my pencil because the point soon goes, especially on a soft pencil. Mine won't be brilliant because I'm working at a very difficult angle, so just bear with that. It's not quite straight, is it? Let me try and put that right. So I've got a dark tone here. I then want to soften that out because I'm going to have a middle tone. So I soften that out by putting less pressure on the pencil, but my pencil is coming off each time. It's not scribbling. So it's coming off each time, and I've got a middle tone. And then I've got light. Now the light in drawing is as important as the dark. If I want to make the edge here darker, then I go to what we call is cross hatching, and I'll come down in a slightly different direction. And I make that very dark. If you want something which is light to come forward, then you darken what's behind it. So if I darken behind the light, I won't do it all. If I darken behind the light, you can then see that the light is more obvious than down here. So if you darken something behind, then the light will come forward. That's important if you're doing, say, a plant and you have leaves. And you have leaves, one in front of another. I'll put some veins on so it looks like a leaf. Whatever is dark is going to go back, and whatever's left light will come forward. So that if I darken behind that leaf, then a gentle, not quite as dark, not quite. I can cross hatch behind that. You can see then that that leaf is now in front of that leaf, and that leaf is in front of that leaf, and so on. So by altering the shade, we can make things come backwards and forwards. So the leaf comes forward, this leaf goes back, this leaf is behind there, and so on, till you build up your drawing. We're going to start by drawing our hand. Now I usually start drawing with a hand because you've always got your hand with you. You've always got it. So you can practice anytime. All you need is a piece of paper and a pencil. You can learn how to do the cross hatching by practicing. And it's practicing. It's like learning scales on a piano. The more you do, the better you get. Okay. Always keep your paper straight. It's tempting for people to start with a paper like this or like this. I've had to do it on a slightly bigger sheet for you so that you can see my hand as well. We've said that we don't want to make a black line, so we're going to have to figure out how to do that. Your hand, when you decide how you're going to draw it, once you've started, you can't move your hand, you can't move it about because you've got to keep looking at it and looking at angles and directions. So when you decide how you're going to put your hand, then it has to stay put. We don't want anybody drawing this because that is, in a way, easy but difficult. If you were to do a superb drawing of that, that would be difficult. But it's not a case of drawing around your hand, because what we're trying to do is to learn to look and draw. Because drawing is almost 100% about looking, because you have to look carefully before you start and decide how you're going to draw. So, where do we start? We start, I think, always with a knuckle, and I'm going to have my hand vaguely like that. So I'll start here and I'm going to look for that top knuckle, but I'm just going to put a point. I'm not doing a big line, outline, because it hasn't got an outline. A finger hasn't got a black line around it. I then have to look at the angle and come across and see what that part of the hand is doing. And it's that, isn't it? So then, very gently, just hitting here and there points, I'm going to get that to come down there. I'm then going to look at that angle, and I'm going to work from joint to joint to joint, and looking to see exactly what I can see, not what I think is there, but what I see. And again, I'll look at that, and I come across, and I try and get that in my mind. Often I get that wrong, so I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to put a darker mark for the top of that joint. I'm going to come down, there. Let's see here, this fleshy part here, here, and it comes there. The skin on fingers tends to sag a bit, doesn't it? And I've got a joint here, so I'm going to look at that. So I'm looking all the time. So I'm doing sort of a system of points, and here let's see what's happening. The shape that's left, if you get the shape right, the shape that's there, if you get that right, then your drawing will be right. If the shape there is completely wrong, then your drawing won't be right. And the thumb is coming over here and sticking out beyond that finger. So there I've got that joint. That joint. Don't worry if you've got to correct your drawing all the time. When you look at the work of some of the wonderful people who can draw, they're a mass of corrections. So you never want to worry about all the lines that you have. See, I haven't got that quite right. And that nail is coming just beyond there. So it's going beyond there. You can see a bit of the flesh that side. Let's see what it's doing here. So I'm looking at angles all the time. Then I've got this sort of muscle bit here. Then I'm coming down towards the wrist here. So I've got this part of the thumb here, going up there. So don't worry if some parts aren't quite right, because you just go back and correct them. So it's probably nicer if you're young and you've got nice hands, but the older you get, the worse your hands get, really. Now I'm looking inside here, and I've got this fleshy part here. I've got from there I've got a very dark part there, and I've got this finger coming well. Here's the finished hand. I've had to stop because you could go on for hours and hours just getting it better and better. If you remember, I had my hand something like that. I don't know what exactly you can see, but it was something like that. I'll just point out one or two things. I've done cross-hatching in lots of places, so I've treated the fingers as cylinders, so I've gone dark, medium, light, dark going back under into the finger again. Same with the thumb. I've got the light areas, very important to leave those completely undrawn, not to shade the whole thing. I've looked for the darkest area, which was right inside the fingers here, and I've saved the darkest areas for that. And then I've got these wrinkly bits. Children, you will have beautiful hands. As you get older, your hands get worse and worse. I've then gone back and I've had to put some darker accents just here and there with my pencil. So I've just put little bits of darker where I thought they would be appropriate. I'm hoping that my son James can find some drawings of his to show you at the end of this lesson, because he is really good at drawing and I thought you would like to see some of his work. Okay.